Hey gamers, so Save the Best for Last is getting a really big change, and before I do any other projects, I should probably cover all of the changes currently in Dead by Daylight to perhaps let the developers know, to perhaps let you guys know. And one major change is Save the Best for Last is now M2 base and not or special power base and not injury base. And the reason, or health state base, I should say. And the reason why this is problematic is because a lot of the killer powers work differently and they don't always apply a health state change whenever you use them. A good example of this is trickster knives. Technically, using them is a special attack, but they don't exactly cause a health state loss until you hit 8 of them, right? So with that being said, let's kind of go over what they did to save the best for last and how it absolutely got gutted. And I think this is an oversight, or at least I hope it is. So first thing, let's kind of go over what was changed. From PTB, it used to be off the when the obsession lost a health state by any means, and they changed this because people would plot twist and be all cheeky, and it would cause a health state loss. While this was, I guess, annoying, I don't really care about this because a couple things occur. One, that I lose 2 tokens, but now they're out of the game for however many seconds until they pick themselves back up, and they can only pick themselves back up twice, one in end game, one in early game, and it causes another person to leave the generator or to go fetch the person who just did this, right? So it wasn't really a big deal to me, but I guess the developers thought otherwise. However, similar to Hex Blood Favor, we had a change a while back in PTB, and it was reverted in Switch, where Hex Blood Favor was off of special attacks. Well, they overlooked it to where there was an overlook where a trickster knife would cause blood favor to proc. They since fixed this, and now it's health state loss, which I thought would happen currently, but nope, they didn't learn their lesson when it came to blood favor, so it is now back to special attack. So for the sake of this list, I'm gonna save myself some talking. An M1 attack does cause the Sax loss, so that doesn't really matter. And when we'll go over their belongings, and we'll also go over their power usage, and I'll tell you whether you will lose stacks or not. So Trapper's Traps, whether you step in it, you get to keep your stacks, and whether a health state is a loss, you still get to keep your stacks, so you're totally safe with him. Wraith is just an M1 guy. Billy, when you use your chainsaw on the obsession, you lose stacks because technically that's his M2. Nurse, her M2 power is blink attacking, you lose stacks. Huntress, using your hatchet, you lose stacks. Myers is kind of weird. Aside from his M1 losing stacks, he does have Tombstone, and similar to keeping play with foods. Well, oh my god, similar to keeping your play with your food stacks, you also keep your Stabiffle stacks when you Mori somebody or when you Tombstone somebody. So that was kind of interesting. Hag is the same as before. Tripping her trap does not cause a Stabiffle stack to be lost. Doctor, we thought maybe Doctor's shock would cause some issues, but nope. Doing the shock does not cause you to lose any stacks. Leatherface, using his chainsaw, causes you to lose stacks. Freddy, you are safe. Using your dream snare and a survivor stepping into it doesn't cause you to lose stacks. Pig is kind of interesting. We had a lot of questions with the community in regards to what would work with her when it comes to losing stacks with her M2 power. Her M2 power is considered dashing, so if you dash attack, you lose stacks. However, if the head pops or if you're placing a trap down on someone's head, why I'm specifying that will make sense for a couple of these later. Also, if you're using the add-on where someone goes in the mending state because they failed a skill check, you don't lose stacks, so you're fine. Clown, when you throw bottles on somebody and it impacts them, you don't lose any stacks, which is kind of interesting because we thought maybe that would be different. And then he's the same as before. Spirit, same as before. It's an M1 attack technically, so you would lose stacks. Legion is the same as before, regardless if you use your M2 attack on somebody, you lose stacks. Plague is kind of interesting. Plague, if you vomit on somebody to the point where they become infected and injured, even if they touch a gen, I'm assuming it's the same if you touch a gen and they become infected and injured because it's the same type of a status effect, you get to keep your stacks. However, if you use Corrupt Purge and you injure them with the red puke, you lose your stacks, which makes sense because that's kind of like a lot of the killers that we are going to be seeing here. Ghostface is an M1 kind of guy, so you just lose stacks regardless. Demogorgon is you do lose stacks when you use his M2 Shred, and also when you M1. Oni, same idea. Whenever you use your M1 or if you use your M2, so you slam or not, you're going to lose stacks. Deathslinger is actually how this all started. If you harpoon somebody, as mentioned earlier, you will lose 2 stacks. If the chain breaks, you don't lose 2 stacks, which is kind of weird. And then if you M1 somebody from the chain, it's an M1 technically, so you do lose stacks, which is normal. Pyramid Head, if you M1 somebody, you lose stacks per usual, but also if you M2 somebody with your, I don't know what it's called, but you're gonna see it right here, you would lose stacks. If they go into your trail or whatever, you would not lose any stacks, which is kind of good to know because that would be really broken and busted if so. Blight is an M2 rush, so you lose stacks along with M1. Twins, Victor is technically her M2 power, so if you pounce on somebody, you will lose to Biffle tokens. Trickster is probably the most painful thing on this entire board. Absolutely destroyed the perk for him if you ever were using this. Every knife you throw counts as his M2, so if you throw 4 knives on a survivor and you have 8 tokens, too bad, so sad. You are now losing 8 tokens. Have a good day. So, yeah, that's kind of weird. Nemesis is where if you use a tentacle on somebody, then you are going to be losing stacks, which is different from before. However, your zombies do not count, so you can keep your stacks if they are throwing themselves at the zombies. Pinhead is kind of tragic because you're already kind of not feeling super rewarded for your power sometimes. So if you get a chain hit on somebody, regardless if you M1 them or not, you are losing stacks. Chain Hunt is technically a third-party power, so that is not, out of your control, so they can't just throw themselves at that, so you get to keep your stacks. So those chains are different when it comes to stack usage. Artist is kind of weird and strange. If you throw a crow on somebody, then regardless of whether the crow is an attack or not, you will lose stacks. What shocked me was the crow can literally be delivered to the obsession and then you lose tokens. That seems unintentional, but okay. Onryo is an M1 individual, so you would lose stacks regardless. Condemned is technically a Mori animation, so I don't think that would affect your stacks at all, but we didn't test it. Dredge's power is mostly M1 aside from his locket grabs, and none of his locket grabs causes stack loss, so you're safe there. Wesker is really weird. So Wesker, you would think, based on everything that we've gone through so far on this list, you're probably guessing, oh, it's on the grab, right? Like it's when he grabs you. No, it's when he slams you, you lose stacks. If he grabs and tosses your ass across to a wall or to a survivor, you get to keep your tokens, dude. The Knight is interesting, kind of shocked a couple of us. If you M1, you lose stacks, but if you use your guard, you get to keep your Stabiffle stacks. So you don't lose anything. Probably because it's maybe considered a belonging or maybe a third-party power. I don't really know. Skull Merchant, if the obsession loses a health state in a drone, your stacks are safe. It's only if you M1. Singularity, if you use a pod and shoot a pod on somebody, you are safe. You get to keep your stacks, which you would assume would be kind of similar to Artist, because Artist is technically using, like I said, there's some inconsistencies here, as you're noticing, but Singularity is mostly M1, so it's not considered an M2, I guess. And then Xenomorph and Chucky, we'll just combine them together because they both have powers where they can injure you with your M2, one with the tail, and then 2 with the Chucky dash, and you lose stacks. So yeah, let me know what you think, if you think this is intentional or not. I wanted to just do a quick video about this because we spent 2 hours testing all of these weird, wacky changes. And what's crazy to me, they did all of this just to prevent one perk from causing a stack loss. Like, I think this was a last-second oversight from behavior. If this is how it's supposed to work, they absolutely gutted Save the Best for Last, which could be considered a good thing depending who you ask. However, I do think it's unhealthy to have Save the Best for Last tokens get lost if you don't even apply any sort of status to a health state. I think Deathslinger, sure, whatever. I don't know how you would code that. But Artist, Trickster, Nemesis Tentacle, what? If you hit someone with the Nemesis Tentacle, they're already gaining a bunch of distance because they get that speed boost from hitting them. So I don't know. Yeah, just keep this in mind when playing your killers, and don't be like me when you are playing Deathslinger and you're losing 8 stacks because you go for the obsession in one chase. Anyway, thanks for watching.